Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now today I am returning to the subject of journaling because I consistently talk about journaling as a tool to employ in your life, as a potent way of improving your life journey and just getting better at the life that you're living. Because I know that for many men, the idea of journaling is something that they equate with, teenagers or novelists or self-help fanatics. And you might think to yourself, it's too indulgent for me, it's too time consuming. What's it all about? A sort of unleashing your soul in flowery prose into some fancy book. How's that going to help me? Well, what if I told you that spending just 5 minutes a day capturing some of your thoughts in a notebook, when I say journal, it doesn't have to be a fancy book, it doesn't have to be a fancy pen. It can be a sheet of paper with the most basic pen you've got knocking around in the kitchen. If I told you that 5 minutes a day could significantly improve things like your journey through this life, your relationships, your growth as a person, it's 5 minutes invested for a better version of you. And it isn't about pouring your life onto a sheet of paper. Think about it like this. Some of the greatest leaders in our global history have used journaling as a mechanism to reflect upon their lives, plan out where they're going, and actually improve that journey for themselves. Marcus Aurelius, the famous Roman emperor, was a big journaler, and we know about his writings and his teachings today because he left us a journal. Winston Churchill, one of the greatest wartime leaders of all time, greatest British person of all time, a prolific journaler. Simple things like many of the chief executive officers who are so vaulted today because of their business acumen and prowess have got there through using journaling as a tool. Even elite soldiers capture performance of the past, improvement points, and use those things to project forward to the best possible version of themselves. So today I am going to give you some actionable ideas, or certainly reasons why I journal, because I've been journaling now for many, many years, and I have found it a valuable, insightful tool helping me on my life journey. So I'm going to give you some tips today, which are certainly going to help you if you want to get into journaling. Now, if I was asked to argue with you as to why I think it's worth you investing 5 minutes a day in journaling, one of the first reasons that I would give you, and this is what it does a lot for me, is it gives me mental clarity. It helps get that noise out of my head. Because just like you, my life is burdened down by all of the things which are constantly circling my brain. It's frustrations with people, decisions I have to make, work stress, little unexpected challenges which pop up every day. Or it could be even that vague sense of feeling overwhelmed that we often always have. You never know, you can't quite put your finger on it, but life seems to be creeping up on you, and you don't know how to get a grip of it. And all this is constantly going around in your mind. Now, journaling basically helps me by giving me somewhere to vent that out, to put it down on a sheet of paper. What are the things which are bugging me and causing me issues? And I can, without concern, write them down. Actually, by putting it out of my mind onto a sheet of paper, when I look at the things that I'm dealing with in my life, they become somehow more manageable. They become tangible. I can see them. They're not just this amorphous feeling going around in my mind. Now I can look at my issues, and I can perhaps, when I see them written down, it helps me to get a grip of it and to understand it and to put it into a little bit more perspective. Now, it's not about solving every problem. No, not at all. Sitting in front of your journal, writing your issues down isn't going to fix these things. But what it does, it helps you get rid of that mental clutter, and by writing it down, it acts as a bit of a filter. Your journal, when you articulate your problems into the written word, helps you understand what's going on. And all of this mental clutter, the noise, doesn't have to stay in your mind because you've dumped it down, it's there, you can see it, and it takes away some of that noise and it gives you mental clarity. Now, the second reason why I enjoy journaling is it actually improves my physical health. It lowers stress and it even helps me sleep a lot better, because when you process your emotions by writing them down in your journal, your body benefits too. Now, it's true I use my journal to track my exercise, my dietary intake, my body weight and things like that. Physical important things. But not only the physical things, but the way that journaling helps your physical health is that numerous studies back this up, that when you write things down, when you vent those things that are causing you concern in your mind, it starts to do things like lowering the cortisol levels within your body. And that's one of those fight or flight hormones, which many of us, get that sense of uneasiness when there's too much of it in our system. Because us chaps, we are very prone to bottle things up inside ourselves because we like to appear as if we're in control. It's part of the masculine, feeling that we are in charge of things. We are able to tough it out. And of course, from the outside, you look like you're in charge. You look like you are tough. I've got this. But actually, your feelings are eroding you from the inside, and this is causing health issues. You're not getting sleep. You're not eating properly. But by writing things down, it's getting those emotions out of your body. And it has a physical consequence as well. Even if it's just giving you a safe outlet to write down your concerns, it lowers your blood pressure. It does little things like that. It lowers muscle tension. And all of these things are consequential in improving things like your sleep. Many men write in their journal just before they go to bed because they've got the day to think of what's just passed. You can plan the day that's going to happen tomorrow. And by venting all of these things just before you go to bed, it clears the mind. It's almost a meditative process. By putting this out of your mind, you can go to bed with a clean sheet and get a proper night's sleep, unencumbered by the burdens that you've picked up during the day because you've put it somewhere. It's like an extra external memory bank that you can disconnect and forget about it overnight. Now, another very obvious reason why most people keep a journal, and myself included, is that it really helps in our self-awareness as we go through life. It helps us to track our habits, our growth, and project forward to a better version of ourselves. Because, if you think of your journal as kind of a map of your inner self, of the world that you're living, you will start to notice patterns. What things trigger you. After certain events in life, you start to feel a little bit down, a little bit depressed. You can go into a bit of a trough. Other events in life will send you upwards and you'll feel elevated for a period of time. And after tracking these patterns over years, once you start to keep a journal over time, you can start to identify things that you can do to make your life journey a happier, more enjoyable place. You can avoid situations that are going to put you into a trough and look for situations which are going to elevate you. I mean, on a very, very basic level, in my journal here, I will write things like at the bottom of each page, I put best part of the day, worst part of the day. Now, over a period of time, I was noticing that in the best part of the day, I was often writing, went to the gym, right? Because the endorphins which are released in the gym were making me feel good, and that was carrying on to the rest of my day. So I realized that if I'm starting to go into a bit of a slump in my life, not feeling particularly energized, can't be bothered, lethargy is creeping in, I know that if I increase my instances of exercise, going to the gym, getting those endorphins flowing around the body, it could move me out of that slump a lot quicker than just waiting for it to naturally plateau and come back up the other end. So just by simple things like recording, what was good today, what was bad today, do more of the good, less of the bad. You might not realize that the things which make you feel good and bad are triggering those feelings. Yet by keeping a journal, it can help. And one of the things I very much like to do is look back at my old entries. Because I've been keeping a journal for many years, well over a decade now, I have the advantage of every so often I'll plunge my hand into my box of old journals. I will look at today, but 5-10 years ago, and I'll get some sense of the person I was back then. And it's very nice because, generally speaking, I see that I've grown as a person, and I can see that I'm a better version of the man that I was then. And then I can reflect upon how that happened. What has changed since then and now to make me feel better about that situation, or sometimes worse. And then I can try and project forward and do more of those things. Keep that growth going. And only by looking back and actually reflecting on the emotions, the feelings that I was having back then, can I really get a sense of what was going on 10 years ago. Because believe me, you look at a photograph of yourself from 10 years ago, and all you're going to see is a thinner, better looking version of what you are now. But if you read your journal from 10 years ago, you really get a snapshot of the decade-old version of you, what they were going through, what they were facing. And now looking backwards, you can now perhaps see this was the key to getting where I am today. Let's try that again. And finally, and perhaps the most obvious, the traditional reason why most people keep a diary or a journal is it helps us capture what matters in our lives. Because if we're, speaking candidly, life goes by in a blur, just like that. And as you get older, time seems to progress ever more fast. And if we're not careful, we forget to, we have no method of recording the way that we were feeling, the emotions, the things that have happened, the special events in life. Yes, we have photographs, but like I just said, that doesn't capture anything other than an image. It doesn't capture what's happening on the inside. And I find when you write things down, you get a totally different picture of what's gone on, the lessons that you learned, even the bad days. There's something positive to draw from it, and you can write that down, and helps when you reflect back on it in the past. A journal preserves those moments. It turns a fleeting thing into a valued, preserved memory. And many of us actually along those lines, when we write a journal, yes, I use it for myself. I look back at 10 years ago, 5 years ago, a year ago, and see what's changed, and use that to flavour the future. But I also write it in the knowledge that it's going to be around after I've gone. My grandchildren, my great-grandchildren might read my journal long after I am dust back into the vast universe. And those words which I have written in my own handwriting will be perhaps the only legacy that I can leave them. And they can read about my trials and tribulations in life and use it to flavour their own journey, or to get some idea of what their great-grandfather was like in the era in which he lived. It's a valuable contribution to the chronology of your family journey, if nothing else, as well as helping you at that moment in time. Either way, I think keeping a journal adds weight to the situations that we face. They're not done and dusted at the end of every day. If you record them, they live on. My final thought to you is this, right? Remember, if the thing which is holding you back from journaling is the fact that you think it's going to take too long, or you can't be bothered with a pen and paper, all right? You don't have to be William Shakespeare. You don't have to have his command of language to keep a journal. Think of it as a private conversation with yourself, which you just record on a sheet of paper, in a notebook, whatever you choose. It doesn't have to be a nice journal like I use. I use Leuchtturm journals, good brand. One of these lasts me about 6 months, and it's a pleasure to write in them. And as you might use a fountain pen, it becomes a joyous meditative experience just to jot things down. But to start with, just write 3 lines about the day that you've just had. What was good about the day, what was bad about the day, and what you'd like to see change tomorrow. Just write that down on a sheet of paper. Then do it the following day, and the following day. And in a week or so, you realise that those 3 lines are not enough. Now you want to add a little bit more narrative to what's just happened. And you will start to enjoy journaling. And the longer you keep it, the more valuable it becomes. Because after a month, you can look back at the beginning of the month And like me, you can see, well, my body weight has changed. I've been to the gym 5 times. I've done this, I've done that. The good points of the last month were, going out for a walk at the end of the day with my dog. The bad points were, the journey to work on the bus. Let's do something to improve that. Let's get a talking book to listen to on the bus so I can turn that bad part of my day into something useful. When you start to keep a journal, you notice points in your life that can be improved, and you can put them in place, and your life can become better. And it starts with just merely a pen and paper. What have you got to lose? 5 minutes of your day and potential improvement in the future. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, don't forget to click the old thumbs up button to show you like it. If you'd like to see more like this, please subscribe. Click the button, doesn't take a second, doesn't cost a thing. If you'd like to come on the journey with me towards Chap Nirvana, you can become one of my patrons. There's a link in the show notes below to my Patreon page, and if you join, which is a tiny monthly fee, you will benefit from the additional videos which I make each and every week exclusively for my patrons, and you will also have personal access to me should you wish to have that. I'd love to have you on the team. So until the next time we meet, reach for a pen, reach for some paper, and improve your life. And I will see you again very soon.